Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the second lecture of the series Introduction to Toy Design. My name is Dr. Supradip Das, and I am an assistant professor at the Department of Design at IIT Guwahati. In the last session, we explored why toys matter, how they support exploration, curiosity, imagination, and early development, and how they carry culture and meaning. Today, we are zooming in one of the most important foundation of toy design. What is the difference between toy, game, and puzzle? These distinctions shape everything you will design, from the openness of the experience to the level of challenge to how you communicate the product to parents and the industry. So, in this session, we are not just defining terms, we are understanding the logic and the experience structure behind them. Before we learn how to design toys, we must understand what kind of experience we are designing for. Here is what we will cover today. We will begin with the broadest idea, play itself. You already have an understanding of what toys are. We will look at games and puzzles, the most structured form of play with one correct solution. By the end of this session, you will be able to distinguish between these categories, not just by definition, by the understanding what makes each experience different. You will be able to identify the structure and intention behind each of them and analyze any play object using the freedom versus structure framework. That is, if you are given a product, you will be able to categorize it accurately and understand how it creates meaning. These outcomes form the backbone of your next modules. You will understand that not everything we played with was actually a toy, and not everything that looks like a toy functions like one. And some things we call toys are actually games or puzzles. Once we untangle these concepts of a toy, game, and puzzle, you will be able to classify toys more precisely, design more intentionally, and appreciate the unique experience each of these afford. So let's step back for a moment and look at the fundamental distinction between toy, game, and puzzle. Let us start with the biggest idea, play. Play is the umbrella experience. It is bigger than toys, puzzle, and games. Across scholars, Webster's, Huizinga, Rubin, Peter Gray, one idea remains consistent. Play is voluntarily, enjoyable, flexible, imaginative, process-driven, and self-directed. A child playing tag is playing. A child pretending to be a dinosaur is playing. A child stacking cups with no goal is playing. And importantly, play does not need toys. It only needs curiosity and freedom. A stick can be a wand, a horse, a sword. A cupboard box can be a spaceship. Play is a mindset, and an activity, not a product. What is game? Games are a more structured form of play. A game has a goal, rules, boundaries, and roles. Games can sometimes be collaborative and sometimes competitive. They are usually a way to win or complete something. Example: Ludo, Uno, football, Zynga, chess, etc. Let us look at the attributes of a game through three key lenses: play, design, and functional attributes. First, the play attributes. At the center of any game are the players, the participants who operate within the game's framework. Games give players agency, meaning their choices are meaningful and directly affect the state of the game. A game also creates challenges and tension through balanced difficulty, which increases engagement among players. It demands cognitive engagement. Players use critical thinking, memory, concentration, and strategy to progress. At the same time, games are designed to be entertaining and to enhance mood, creating a sense of fun that boosts dopamine and motivation. Games also helps in social interaction through communication, collaboration, or competition between players. Next, the design attributes. Games function within a structured framework that clearly defines what actions are allowed. They include objectives and goals, such as win condition, quests, or progression milestones. Games provide feedback mechanisms that respond immediately to player action, using points, sounds, or visual cues. They also include progression and reward system. Visual element, audio, and narrative further support the experience by creating immersion and holding the player's attention. Finally, the functional attributes. Games are designed with replay value, showing them to remain enjoyable over repeated sessions. They vary in their degree of interaction, whether between players or between the player and the system. Games also include system attributes such as gameplay, data like health, stamina, or durability, which shape how the game unfolds. In addition, character or system attributes define performance within the game context. These include core attributes like strength or intelligence, specific skills and abilities, and derived values that influence how effectively a player can play. Together, these play, design, and functional attributes define how a game operates, engages players, and sustains meaningful play over time. Games have a number of benefits. They enhance cognitive skills by supporting problem solving, strategic thinking, memory, and sustained focus. They also improve conditions, and reaction time. Many games strengthen hand-eye coordination, visual spatial skills, and the ability to respond quickly and accurately to changing situations. Games support both mental and physical well-being. They can help reduce stress and anxiety, and in many cases, they also encourage physical movement and activity. In addition, games help build social and emotional skills. Through shared play, they foster teamwork, communication, leadership, and empathy, while also creating opportunity for meaningful social connections. Finally, games encourage learning, creativity, and resilience. They enable experiential learning, spark imagination, and teach perseverance. By facing challenges, failing, and adapting strategies, players learn to improve through experiences. Together, these benefits show how games contribute to cognitive development, emotional growth, and overall well-being. Puzzles are more structured. A puzzle is a challenge with one correct answer. The player's role is to find that answer. It is highly constraining. Example, jigsaw, Sudoku, Rubik's Cube, Tower of Hanoi. A puzzle gives very little authorship to the player. There is no freedom to reinvent the experience. So the moment you say, build an exact copy of the Lego model, you have turned free play toy into a puzzle. Now, let us look at the attributes of the puzzle through three key lenses: play attributes, design attributes, and functional attributes. First, the play attribute. Puzzles consist of components, pieces, or elements that need to be manipulated or fitted together. The objective of puzzle is to find a solution, whether that means completing an image, forming a structure, or arriving at a correct arrangement. Puzzles are built on a logical structure with inherent rules and relationships between parts that guide the solving process. They also vary in difficulty, ranging from simple challenges to highly complex problem-solving experiences. Next, the design attributes. Puzzles rely on clear affordances, meaning the rules and controls are easy to understand. They contain identifiable patterns that act as cues for the player to follow. The difficulty is balanced. The puzzle is challenging but not impossible to solve. A well-designed puzzle feels cohesive and complete. It makes sense as a whole and minimizes irrelevant information. Finally, the functional attributes. Puzzles offer wide difficulty range from simple entry-level challenges to complex problem spaces. They support skill development, including memory and recall, attention and focus, spatial understanding, and fine motor coordination. Puzzles also act as mental exercise tools, strengthening neural connections and improving cognitive flexibility. The experience is driven by intrinsic reward, the sense of accomplishment, insight, or resolution that comes from reaching a solution. Together, these play, design, and functional attributes define how puzzles engage the mind and sustain focus, goal-oriented play. Puzzles also benefit us in a number of ways. First, they strengthen the brain by improving problem-solving abilities, memory, concentration, and visual spatial thinking. As we walk through a puzzle, the brain actively processes relationships between pieces and patterns. They also help develop cognitive skills. Puzzles build logical reasoning, strategic thinking, pattern recognition, and trial and error learning. Each attempt, successful or not, contributes to understanding the structure of the problem. Puzzles improve motor conditions. They enhance fine motor skills and hand-eye coordination. They also boost emotional well-being. Puzzles help reduce stress, promote a calm and mindful state of focus, and release dopamine, creating a sense of satisfaction and relaxation when progress is made or a solution is reached. Since we know what is toy, we will now look at the attributes of toys to draw comparison and understand how they differ from games and puzzles. First, the play attributes. Toys are open-ended and imaginative. They encourage creative, flexible play and problem solving. They invite children to explore possibilities rather than follow fixed outcomes. Toys are also engaging and stimulating, prompting active physical and mental interaction. Through play, they support skill building and developing cognitive, motor, emotional, and social abilities. Well-designed toys are age-appropriate, matching a child's developmental stage to avoid boredom or frustration. Next, the design attributes. Safety is fundamental. Toys are free from hazards, such as sharp edges, non-toxic material, and choking risk. They are durable and sturdy, built to withstand repeated and sometimes rough play. The choice of material matters as well. Different materials such as wood, plastic, and fabric offer varied sensory experiences and levels of durability. Toys are also visually and sensorily appealing. Bright colors, sounds, and movement help attract and hold a child's attention. Finally, the functional attributes. Toys are versatile, allowing them to grow with the child and be used in multiple ways over time. Many modern toys include connectivity, such as digital features, upgradability, or interactive elements that appeal to children. Toys offer conceptual freedom, allowing imaginative play and reinterpretation. They also have replay value, longevity, remaining engaging over extended periods rather than being used only once. Together, this play, design, and functional attributes define how toys support meaningful, sustained, and developmentally appropriate play. Let us look at the example of Minikube Spectre to understand the difference between a toy, a puzzle, and a game by manipulating a single item. The image on the screen shows a wooden block set designed by Gonzalo Arbuti and Marcelo Federico. When these wooden blocks are used freely in their conventional forms with no specific task or instruction, they function as a toy. The child plays with complete freedom, using imagination to create anything they wish: a flower, a building, or an animal. When the same blocks are accompanied by visual instructions, as shown on the slide, guiding the child to form specific object such as an alligator or a fish, the blocks become a puzzle. Here, play is directed towards achieving a particular outcome. To the same thing, if we add elements like time limits, competition, introducing rules, increased difficulty, and the concept of winner, the blocks transform into game. Here, multiple players can be involved and structured challenges can also be introduced. Game designer Teen Twantra explains something very important for us as toy designers. Every play object or experience falls on a spectrum of freedom. On one end of the spectrum, we have toys. This gives a child a lot of freedom. They decide what to do, how to play, and what the object becomes. In the middle of the spectrum, we have games. Here, the child still plays, but now there are rules and a goal. The experience is shared between the designer and the player. And at the far end of the spectrum, we have puzzles. These offer very little freedom. There is usually one correct answer, one correct way to solve it. So, the more rules and goals you add, the more the experience shifts away from being a toy and moves toward becoming a game or a puzzle. Twintra's point is simple. The player's freedom determines what the experience becomes. If I hand a child a set of blocks and say nothing, it's a toy. They can build anything. If I say, let's see who builds the tallest tower, it becomes a game. If I say, recreate this exact model, it becomes a puzzle. The object didn't change. The structure of the experience changed. Game designer Chris Crawford expands the idea even further. He says that all playful things start as playthings, but What they become depends on the kind of interaction they demand. If there is no goal, it is a toy. When you introduce a goal, it becomes a challenge. A challenge can go in two directions. If there is a goal but no opponent, it becomes a puzzle. Your job is simply to find the solution. If there is a goal and an opponent, it becomes a conflict. But there are two types of conflict. If you can actually influence or interfere with your opponent, it becomes a game like football, chess, or Ludo. If you cannot interfere or influence their performance, it becomes a competition like running, race, or high jump. Crawford's idea helps us see that moment we add goals, rules, or opponents, we completely change the nature of play. Let's put all these into a simple, clear way of thinking. Play is experience. It can happen with or without objects. A toy is an object that invites open-ended play. No rules, no fixed goals, lot of freedom. A game is structured play. There are rules to follow and there is usually something to achieve. A puzzle is the most structured. There is one correct solution and the challenge is to find it. You can think of these as a gradual shift from freedom to structure. Toys offer the most freedom. Games sit in the middle. Puzzle offer the least freedom. This simple model is enough to guide most design decisions. And at the same time, play is component of all of them. Without play, they would be mere objects. These distinctions matter because your choices as a designer shape the experience. If you want children to explore and experiment, your design needs openness and flexibility qualities of toys. If you want them to follow rules or cooperate or complete, you are designing a game. If your goal is problem solving with a single solution, you are designing a puzzle. Understanding this helps you answer important questions. How much freedom do I want the child to have? Should the experience guide them, challenge them, or let them create their own meaning? Am I designing an object or an experience? And most importantly, what do I want the child to feel while playing? These distinctions help you be intentional. So before we move to our next session, categories of toys, take a moment to think about your own childhood. Did you ever turn a toy into a game simply by adding a rule? Did you ever turn a game into a puzzle by trying to solve it alone? Or have you ever played with something like a toy even though it was not designed as one? Your answers will help you understand how fluid these boundaries really are and why good toy design always starts with the question, how much freedom do I want the child to have?